Hey babe, welcome to Bone This Way. I'm your host, Jordan Bone. There's no limits here, so buckle up, baby, and enjoy the ride. Hi guys, and welcome back to Bone This Way. Oh my God, I feel super sick this morning, and I have a lot to do, and it's all towards my adventure to America next week. When you're listening to this, actually, I'll be on the plane, so give me all the well wishes, because I think this episode I'm going to talk about traveling as a disabled person and that ableism that comes with that, but also, you know, it's worth it in the end, but the crap that we have to deal with, because I think the more people that know about it, the better. Oh my God, guys, my microphone is just not playing ball either. Like, everything is going a bit chaotic today, but I have a coffee with me. I hope you have a coffee too. I just need a sip. Hang on. Yum. So I literally went to Jersey a couple of days ago. I got back 2 days ago and it's the shortest flight in the world. It's literally like 30 to 40 minutes to get to Jersey. It's super simple, super easy. Well, it should be, right? But being a wheelchair user, suddenly it became chaotic. On the way there, it was fine. There was no problems. But it was coming home. And coming home, the flight was already delayed 2 hours, which is, you know, one of those things that happens. But everything else after that became so freaking stressful, so unnecessary, and just annoying. And now I'm ill. So I feel like the stress has probably contributed to that. I mean, aeroplanes are gross as well. So that might be why I feel a bit shit. But hoping this cold or whatever it is goes away. I'm sitting here like with my hat on because I couldn't be bothered to do makeup, and I'm just like, hi YouTube. Anyway, so I get to Jersey airport, the flight's delayed, blah blah blah, that's fine. We then have to get on the back of the aeroplane because that's where the ramp is. So a lot of the time they'll have an ambi lift, or, you know, airports often are joined to the plane entrance, aren't they? So depending where you're going, it's all different. But this one actually had a ramp at the back of the plane, which was fine. I then had to transfer onto the aisle chair. Now, if you've never seen an aisle chair, the aisle chair is the smallest, narrowest little chair in the world. And you're strapped in it, like you are basically strapped into it like you have a straight jacket on. It's so undignified, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, this is one of those things. However, this obviously isn't molded to our bodies, or, you know, because our wheelchairs are kind of like so made for us, like our measurements, all of that jazz. So obviously sitting on these aisle chairs are not comfortable. They're kind of slippery. But anyway, I was strapped to it. And my body's kind of like veering off to the right or the left. I can't remember. But it wasn't comfortable. But it is what it is. I was on it for like 2 minutes. So I sit on this and then I transfer into my seat. So what we normally do, just to help with pressure and to help with, you know, making sure it's comfortable for me, we will take my wheelchair cushion off of my wheelchair and place it onto the seat, because we all know that these seats aren't very cushioned. They're not very comfortable. So we always do that to avoid any pressure sores or just like uncomfortableness. I mean, this is such a short flight, it would have been fine anyway, but I always do that just to keep everything intact, you know, if you've got a spinal cord injury. So we have to quickly whip off the cushion, put it on the seat, whip me on the seat. And so I was sat in an aisle seat, and it's not like we had the extra leg room where I could get to any seat on that row because there wasn't room. So the air hostess who was in charge of the flight came over and was like, "You're in the wrong seat." And I was like, "Oh, I'm on 3A." And she was like, "Yeah, 3A is next to the window." And I was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't physically get to the window. It's already super tight getting me in this seat, to be honest." And there was a man waiting to get into it, but I don't think he realised the situation because I had to get on first. So that's another thing. You have to get on first a lot of the time, which is annoying because that means you're on the plane longer. And you have to get off the plane last. So annoying. So I don't think the man actually minded because I just don't think he knew what was going on. So he ended up sitting somewhere else in the end. But literally after about 20 minutes of like faff, I was like, I can't move. Like, I can't get myself over there. My PAs can't physically get me over there because they can't even get in front of me to help do like a transfer. because even my leg got caught sitting in this seat, which wasn't the extra legroom seat, and now I have a massive bruise on my foot. So I don't know what I've done to my foot. Hopefully it's all okay by now, by the time you're listening to this. And let's pray that this flight to LA is amazing and so easy. So that was that. And she was causing stress. She then pulled my PA off of the flight and started going through safety procedures, which I already had done. I had already called EasyJet myself, and they were like, you know, will someone be okay to give you give you the oxygen mask once they've given, had their own, blah, 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 all of the stuff, all, you know. And I'm like, yeah, that's all good. That's all fine. We all know these procedures. It's all good. But she took her off the plane and then was like telling her all this stuff. And I was like, okay. But at least she didn't make us move. So that was okay in the end. But she was just being very awkward about it. And it's like people don't use their common sense. It's so by the book sometimes in a unnecessary way, and it's like sometimes you have to adapt in life, and I just pray that people can adapt in life, because some of these people seem to not be able to. So that was that. We're already delayed, and we're just sitting on the plane for ages, and then it finally takes off, and that's all right, whatever. We then land, we wait until everyone's off the plane, so a good 20 minutes goes by. Then the special assistants come on, and there's attitude from the moment we lock eyes. The guy brings an aisle chair, and I said, oh, do you mind I said, where's my wheelchair? And the guy was like, outside. And I said, oh, because every time I get off the plane or get on the plane, I always take my wheelchair to the entrance of the plane, because it's just easier, so I can just get straight into that. So mind you, obviously at the start of the flight I was at the back of the plane and I had to use the aisle chair, but now I'm at the front of the plane, so it's easier just to transfer me straight into my chair with like two people. And he was like, no. I was like, well, you want me to go on the aisle? So I was like, so you want me to be lifted basically, because it's all kind of like that, and transferred twice unnecessarily, and it's going to be unsafe for me to stay on the aisle chair, because it wasn't they wanted me to go to the aisle chair to the end of the entrance. They wanted me to go on the aisle chair onto the ambi lift on the aisle chair, which I'm strapped in like a freaking straitjacket, as I said, uncomfortable, pulling my neck, my legs jump in, like it's so uncomfortable, slipping and sliding around even though I'm strapped in. It's bizarre. And then go outside and then transfer on the freaking like outside, like where the suitcases and stuff are. Like, give me some dignity, for God's sake. So I didn't say for God's sake, but I was just like, well, no, I want my chair. I said, they are basically my legs, and I think it's up to me how I am moving around in this world. Like, that isn't any safer doing what you're doing. It's actually less safe. So can we do it this way? We've been doing it for a long time. Oh, and mind you, going back to when we first got on the plane, the lady acted like I'd never flown before, and my PA was like, she travels all the time, she does 11-hour flights, she's all good, it's all fine, we have a system. But this guy, literally guys, we were just saying it how it was. We just said, we just need my wheelchair, that's all we need my wheelchair. He was going crazy at us. He started shouting. He started seeing red. His eyes were piercing through Chloe's freaking soul, and basically was saying to her, do not talk to me like that. And she was like, do not talk to me like that. And I said, listen, we are the passengers. All I'm requesting is my wheelchair. It's my body. Please may I have my wheelchair? And the man was going crazy and said, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to help you. And we were like, that's absolutely fine. I do not want your help. Can you imagine wanting someone's help who is talking to you like that? It's literally abuse, and so ableist and discriminatory. It got worse, because then they kept going on and on. And I was like, do you know what? We're not going to agree here. Can I just have my wheelchair? That's all I want, my freaking wheelchair. The other assistant guy was like, what's going on? And we told him, and basically he went to get the wheelchair. But before that, it was just going on. I said, can we just stop this? Like, this is getting very aggressive, very unnecessary, very unkind. I should be able to have my own wheelchair and not be spoken to like crap and spoken to like a freaking alien. And everyone like becomes like robots or something. It's so fucking weird. Anyway, I then said to the lady, because, it was going on for so long, I was like, can we just please get the chair? Because in a minute, I'm probably going to wee myself because I'm so desperate for the toilet. And this is so unnecessary. And it's just so, it's discrimination, what's happening right now. And I said about, I'll wee myself then. And she just sort of shrugged her shoulders and went, oh, well, that's that then. I was like, this is despicable. And this woman was the air hostess who was in charge. She came back after 5 minutes and went, but if you do need the toilet, there is an onboard toilet. I'm like, she obviously thought about what she said and came back and said that to cover her ass. But at the same time, what? So then I'm going to have your special assistants help me get on that freaking aisle chair again. Anyway, it was all about the attitude, and their attitude absolutely reeked. And that's what was really stressful. And eventually I got my chair and it was fine. I got my chair, got in my chair, got on the ambulift, went my merry way home, and it was all good. And the thing is, what I really want to say is, we, deserve to travel. We deserve to live our lives. We deserve to have fun and have experiences. We don't deserve to be spoken to like crap. We don't deserve to then make our holidays feel like on a downer because we've then had to deal with stress when we arrive home just because we're out there living our lives. And what we were actually doing was trying to make their life even easier because we were just doing our own thing. We were just like, we'll sort the transfers out. We don't really need that much assistance. Just, can I please have my wheelchair? But there was so much anger, so much attitude. And that's so not on and so wrong. And it was like they made something so simple, super, super complicated because there was no way that it had to be as complicated as they made it. It was so simple. And the thing is, I don't want to scare anyone going away because we should be out there in the world. But it's like they want us to be just like feeling rubbish. It's like they want us to feel like unwelcome and discriminated against, so we're not there, because I feel like they see us as a pain in the ass when it doesn't actually have to be that way. There was another girl on the flight actually who had the same problem. They wouldn't get her wheelchair either, and that was causing her distress as well. So it wasn't just me. Their attitude towards disabled people was so ableist and so wrong. And making a trip easier for a disabled person could be so simple. It's just kindness, it's empathy, it's compassion, and most of all, it's freaking common sense. If someone just thought about it and just put themselves in my shoes or someone else's shoes who's disabled, they'd actually think, it makes sense why she has to sit there. It makes sense that she wants her own wheelchair when it's not actually going to cause any problems. I'd understand if we were doing something unsafe, but it wasn't. And the energy was so horrible. So EasyJet, that was not a vibe. Luton Airport, your staff were not a vibe. And I've put in a complaint to Luton. I need to find an email address for EasyJet as well. So that's that. But I don't want to discourage you from going on holiday. So like I said, I will be in the air as you're listening to this, flying to LA with Virgin. And I'm manifesting that it's going to be an amazing trip. I've used Virgin a lot, and in the past, they've even been kind enough to let me go lay down. I was in economy, but they let me go lay down in economy as well because I was getting uncomfortable. And then one time when I was sick coming home from Miami after Tony Robbins, I had this real big flu. They let me go lay down in first class, and it was just so kind. And I think even last year when, you know about the ex story of meeting his family in LA. Well, when I landed, they gave me a bottle of like champagne to give and say, make a good impression. And it was just so sweet. So, I mean, I think I made a good impression, but the ex didn't. Anyway, so there's so much ableism in this world. And I think the only way to beat it is just to keep standing your ground. But I can understand it's exhausting. Like I said, I'm sick now. I'm not feeling great. I sound, you can tell by my voice, but even looking at me, I'm like, ugh, God. But there's so much to consider. So let's talk about other aspects of traveling as a disabled person. So even planning my trips are annoying because I can get in touch with an airline, no matter what airline it is, or even booking it myself. Well, I say booking it myself is actually probably easier if I go through like booking.com or something. And I've just started to realize that, because the thing is, I sound so lispy, guys. Listen to my voice. Well, you are listening to my voice, but it sounds super lispy today. Anyway, I have to contact, for example, my trip to America this time. I contacted Virgin, said what I needed. So I need a shower room, just like an open shower that I can wheel into, but I use like a little fishing chair for my showers on holiday. So just like an open shower room, whatever. That's all I need. And just an accessible room, so the doors are wide enough and stuff. So basically, when they book the flights, they do all the flights, they sort of that out, but they book it and you have to pay, but they can't guarantee you that room or that hotel. So basically, I wanted to go to a hotel I've been to the second time I went to LA, called the Andaz. It's really nice. I love Sunset Boulevard, so I really wanted to go there. But they came back about a month or so later, saying basically that hotel didn't have the accessible room available. And I'm like, oh my God. So I then had to go for it with a different hotel in the end. But it cost me an extra £1,000. And it's crazy because it's like, oh my God, I could have booked this myself. The thing is, it's all about paperwork. So if I'd have booked the hotel myself and I rang the hotel and said, look, I need the accessible room, blah, 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 they would have got it for me there and then. But with an airline, or like a travel agent, I should say, they have to then contact the hotel through paperwork. So obviously they can't call them up front and be like, look, we need this room. They have to do it paperwork. So it takes a couple of weeks. So obviously someone else has already booked that room in the meantime. Oh my God, it's literally making me dizzy talking about it. It's just so stressful. So I always have to make sure there's an accessible room. The building's accessible, obviously. But it's like, I don't actually need a lot. But it always makes it feel like it is a lot. And the thing that stresses me most out is the aeroplane. And I would say a good hack, guys, if you are a wheelchair user, is definitely using your cushion from your wheelchair. Like I said, I always take the sides of my wheelchair out because they can become loose. So I take them out as well so they don't get lost. Touch wood, my chair has been okay the majority of the time. There was this one time where it got slightly damaged and it was a bit bent. And I know there's so many horror stories. And guys, you need to check out Sophie Morgan's campaign, Rights on Flights, because it's awesome. And I'm grateful that someone is actually, putting themselves out there and talking to so many people that can make changes. It would be incredible if we could stay in our wheelchairs to fly, because it would just be so much easier for our bodies, because it is a stress on the body being in a different seat that isn't molded to you when you can't move. So I have to have pressure relief throughout the flight. So if we have to lift my bum up, we have to wiggle my feet because I can't walk around the flight. There's a lot. And, even when we're away, it's so good if we can find accessible taxis that I can wheel into to get around. But it's like a massive build up. And right now I'm a little bit stressed because I have to film 3 podcasts. Hopefully I'll get them all done, but I also need to do so many things before I go away. And one of them is packing all my medical equipment. Now, Virgin told me when I was on the way to Mexico from New York, and the guy, it was the Delta guy, and he was like, you do know you can actually have a medical case, because basically I put all my medical equipment in my, my actual suitcase, and my case is always overweight. And I was like, well, I wasn't aware of that. So I've emailed them this morning to see if I can just get like a hand luggage size case to pack all of my medical equipment, and I'm waiting for them to reply. So stressful. But once it's done, and it's always worth it. So I don't want to put you off going, because I think that's what they want in some ways. But we really do deserve to explore this beautiful planet just like everyone else does, make memories, have experiences, and just get ourselves out there. We have to go always in our out of our comfort zone. And I think people may see disabled people as weak, but God, we are so strong, because we have to put up with so much ableism, so much internalized ableism. And I think I will talk about that in another podcast, because It's crazy how much we have to deal with and accept. And it's like insane how people treat us sometimes. And I also think that people think that we are like divas or something, and we're really not. We're just literally requesting basic human rights to live our life. And if we want our wheelchairs, we need our wheelchairs. Sorry guys, I don't know where I was. I had to stop for a minute. I went a bit dizzy. I'm feeling rough. But we deserve to live our best lives regardless of our injuries or our disabilities, as well. I always want to say that disabilities don't discriminate, so stop discriminating against us. Let me say that again because I sounded like I blurted those words out. Disability doesn't discriminate, so don't discriminate against us. Anyone can become disabled, like I did. I wasn't always disabled. So if you see someone struggling, show some compassion, empathy, help if you can. If people look like they want some help, offer it, but don't try and obviously overpower someone, because people can speak up for themselves. But I mean, we need allies in this world. It's just crazy how we're treated, and it's like we're not worthy, but we truly are. So if you feel that you've been treated badly, or you're scared to go away because people have all of these issues and broken wheelchairs and so much to plan, just know that the memories in between the flight will be worth it. So it's not all about the flight. Once you're there, it's all going to be worth it in the end. And yes, it's more stressful. And if more people knew the stresses we had to go through to get on holiday, hopefully the staff would maybe change their attitudes. And it's all about that. And energy is so important, as I always say, because if staff were helpful, even if it did take a bit longer, even if things were a little bit more difficult, because there's probably more things that have to go in place, then yeah, that's fine. But, just be kind. I think kindness is so important. And I think that is pretty much it with the aeroplane situations. We've just had so many, I feel like there's been so many arguments through silly things on planes. I remember one year I was on a flight and I requested the extra leg room because I'm not doing it to be a diva. I'm doing it because of my physical needs and my care needs. I don't want to have to make a fuss. So basically, there was this time where there was me, my mum, and my friend. And then this lady wanted to sit closer to her husband and their child. So there was the husband, the child in a 2-seat at the side. We were on the 3 middle seats. And then she was on the seat on the other side to us, something like that, or the husband was, whatever. But she said, we need to all sit together. I was like, well, we really need to sit together. I need my care. I need some privacy with certain things. But the airline were more for her. And it was like, what the hell? I remember my friend getting up and going crazy at the lady, going, how are you being so discriminative? We've booked these seats. We're doing it for a medical reason. There's other things that you do not know that we have to help. We have to do pressure relief. We have to move her feet. We have to help her if there's any other things that have to go on. And you're wanting us to all be split up. Now that's physically impossible. We cannot move her alone, on this freaking massive plane, but with tight freaking narrow aisles. This was back in 2010 or 2011, I think. But there's been so many times. And then there was a time my mum was saying yesterday where there was this man on EasyJet. She was just getting angry at him because he just wouldn't help her. And we were just made to wait. And it's the attitude, guys. But then when you get these nice little gems, it's like, it feels so refreshing. And that's what's wrong, is that it feels refreshing when someone's helpful and nice. But it needs to always stay that way. There was only one time when it benefited me, and this wasn't a plane, this was a hotel. So I got to Vegas and we had a long road trip. We drove from LA to Vegas, and we get to the Cosmopolitan Hotel. I had all my paperwork. So guys, make sure you take all your paperwork, print it so you have proof of things, because they can easily go, no, you didn't book that. Basically, I booked an accessible room and they put me in a normal room that was not accessible. I couldn't even fit in the bathroom door. So I was having this meltdown on the bed. I was like, I'm so tired and I want to be having fun. We're in Vegas. Da, 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 da. So my mum and my friend went to the reception and was like, see, we have this paperwork. I was like, thank God I printed that. Yes, efficiency. I'm going to organise. Good. Because it said accessible room through Virgin, because they were arguing it for ages. But we obviously, like I said, we found this paperwork. And because they couldn't backtrack and there was no accessible rooms, they gave me the freaking penthouse, baby. I was like, yes. This is kind of like, I didn't want the stress and I'd rather not have the stress, but at least we kind of got something out of it. And then we ended up having a 2-bedroom penthouse with a bar, with a massive living room. It was freaking epic in Vegas, all because of their incompetency and their bad communication, I guess. But it was so cool. But at the time, again, because it was taking so long, I was like, I'd rather just a normal room. I want to go have fun and live my life. But, you know, there's probably other things that I have to think of. I mean, even travel insurance. Travel insurance is freaking expensive. I think it's been like £400 for me. But I've done it for a year. So I've got it for a year. So that's good. But yeah, I love going away and I love making new memories and having fun. So it's always worth it for me. But right now, it's like I've got so much anxiety about the airport again. And I just hope it's going to be okay. Also, I've got an interconnecting flight to with Delta when I go away, to Nashville. And I've emailed them like requesting special assistance, but they haven't replied. And it's been like 2 weeks and I go next week and I'm like, oh my God, they do not know about me yet. And it's stressing me out. So I have a lot to do. So I'm going to end this podcast here. I hope that gave you a bit of an insight. I hope it wasn't too boring talking about that, but I feel like it was something that needed to be spoken about. And my brain's not working properly right now because I don't feel too cracky. So hopefully it's still I still conveyed what I needed to. But I will tell you one thing. A great thing to do if you're in the UK or you're traveling to the UK is use the Eurostar to Paris, because that was so good. You get to stay in your wheelchair. Obviously, it's like a train, but it's like smoother than a train because you're not falling all over the place. The Eurostar to Paris is brilliant for access. That's one thing I will say. They have a ramp that comes out. You get on it. You sit in like a more, I think the business class bit. You get a meal. It's all good. I love that. So that's a little tip. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any podcast suggestions, let me know. I want to get some juicy podcast episodes for you. But I hope you're having a great day. I hope my flight is going well. Please send me the well wishes. And thank you for listening. Ciao for now.